Grace, mercy, and peace are yours from our Savior who shows himself to be our God, to be our help, to be our strength, to be our light. You owe it to yourself to give God wisdom. You owe it to yourself to hear him out and hear what he has to say. You owe it to yourself to put his words into practice in your life. You won't regret. Communication has never been better. It has never been better than how it is today. Think about it. On Skype or FaceTime or Google Hangouts, you can visit in real time with people all the way in China. You can send a text message and that will arrive to someone in Toronto instantly. If you're like me, you can remember when long distance used to cost a fortune. Now, on most cell phone plans, it is absolutely free. We have Facebook and Twitter, and we are able to share news right as it happens. It's amazing. Communication has never been better. And it's amazing to see how the communication of the gospel has so many tools, so many applications, so many things just related to technology and how we're able to get the word out. We are in a golden age of gospel communication. You might have the entire Bible on your phone, and if you don't, you can get one for free. Our church, and we're not the largest church in the world, but our church is able to send out a weekly devotion, an update of what's going on here at Trinity Lutheran Church every single week to email and to Facebook. Every week it is there. Our YouTube channel is able to broadcast sermons and choral pieces to people around the globe. It's really a cool thing. And that's just at this church. There are Christians throughout the world who do amazing things to be able to communicate and to be able to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Our church body, the Wisconsin Synod, each and every single day, they have a new devotion on their webpage. It's amazing just to see the golden age we live in when it comes to gospel communication. Communication has never been better. At the same time, I also believe communication might be at its very worst, too. When I was at California Lutheran High School, I was always shocked to see students who are really good friends, to see them at the lunch table each and every single day, not talking, not looking up, but just staring at that cell phone. I think they even texted each other, even though they were right next door to each other. That struck me. The dinner table used to be where families communicated. Yeah, it's so easy for people to eat in different rooms in front of different screens and to watch that communication break down. You can send a message to anyone across the world, but I don't think the way we use communication is exactly healthy. And when I say we, I mean humanity as a whole. The level of obscenity, the level of cruelty that can be there in messages is just baffling. If you're not aware of this, people play Xbox and are routinely told to kill themselves because they missed a goal. That happens each and every single day. That's not hyperbole. It's something I've witnessed plenty. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And on one hand, communication has never been better. On the other hand, communication is absolutely horrible in the way we see this breakdown. And why is that? Well, communication really involves two people, right? It can't just be one person talking. There has to also be another person listening. And really, the most important part of a conversation isn't your mouth, it's your ears. Communication breaks down when we judge motives and with the things we read, and we put the worst construction on people. Communication breaks down when we just refuse to listen. And people can refuse to listen to God's communication too. You owe it to yourself to listen. Because if you don't, you've really lost your lifeline. You've really lost that connection to the only one who can help. In our Old Testament lesson, we met a man who would not listen, right? We met Pharaoh. Pharaoh of Egypt, he had everything he could want. He's the most powerful man in the world at that time. God had a message for him. Pharaoh, let these people go. God sent that message through the prophet Moses, yet in God's mind it was just as if he said it to Pharaoh himself. Pharaoh didn't listen, right? God said, if you won't listen, I hope you're ready for plagues. And once in a while, Pharaoh then would say, okay, God, okay, Moses, you can go. But he changed his mind time and time again. And the words that the Bible used to describe Pharaoh's attitude during that plague, it is remarkable. In those early plagues, it says, and Pharaoh hardened his heart. It doesn't say that, though, in the later plague. It says, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. That's a scary reality. If you ignore God, and if you tell him you will not listen to him, if you make a point to completely cut off whatever he wants to tell you, and he still speaks, he speaks through his word. If you will not listen to him, eventually he'll give you your wish. You don't want to hear from him at a point, he then will say, okay, you're done hearing from me. That is a terrifying reality. We met Pharaoh. He didn't listen to God, but he still appears to be successful, right? He's still powerful. He still has influence. It can be hard for us as Christians to see someone who disobeys God so flagrantly do so well. That can be something that bothers us. But in our second lesson, we met a totally different group of people who were just the opposite. We have this small church in Philadelphia, not Pennsylvania, but modern-day Turkey. We have this small group of committed Christians, and they listen to God. God says, you have kept my word. Yet, they don't succeed. They don't look like they are. God himself even tells them that they are weak. I would imagine if you lived in Philadelphia, you would think that group that called themselves Christians, they won't be around here in 10 years. They won't be around here in 20 years. That group is full of losers. It's suffering on every end. They have setback after setback after setback. We meet this group of people who listen to the Word of God and who are hurt in so many ways we can't imagine because of how good God has given us life here in our country. Two completely different groups of people. Pharaoh doesn't listen to God and does great. Christians in Philadelphia listen to God and suffer immensely. Where do you fit in? Has this changed so much? I am sure you know someone. I'm sure you know many people who are successful who do not care one single bit what God has to say in His Word. And I'm sure they are doing quite well for themselves. And I'm sure in their minds they wonder, well, why would I need Him? I have everything that I need already. And I know you know Christians who hurt and who hurt bad. I know you know Christians who feel weak or small or tiny or insignificant. I am sure you know Christians who maybe feel like they were born in the wrong century, who may be worried that everything they believe has somehow become irrelevant or outdated. you and I, where do we fit in the middle of all this? It affects us. It absolutely does. We'd be liars if we said it didn't affect us one single bit. So we have two extremes. Pharaoh doesn't listen to God. People in Philadelphia listen to God. Where do we find up? We have more in common with Pharaoh than we'd ever have to. We do. God is clear to Pharaoh. He is crystal clear about what Pharaoh is supposed to do, and what does Pharaoh do? Pharaoh doesn't care. Pharaoh doesn't listen. Pharaoh keeps moving along, doing what he wants to do. That can be you and me too. Because sometimes in our lives, there have been moments where we knew where God stood on an issue. And we did the exact opposite. There have been times in each and every single one of our lives where we dived head first in that forbidden fruit. We completely went where we knew was totally out of bounds. And we didn't want to hear what God had to say. That's not all the time. I am talking to Christians here, and I know that is not you all the time. But that has been you from time to time, and that has been me from time to time. Sometimes we don't appreciate being in the same position as the people in Philadelphia either. No one wants to feel weak. No one wants to feel small. No one wants to feel insignificant. Yet Jesus wants us to hear him, to listen to him, and he promises that there will be consequences for that sometimes. And you might know that in your own life. As people have told you to knock it off with this Jesus stuff. You owe it to yourself to give God a listen. Sometimes you might ask yourself if you really do. You might wonder what good God has done for you. But you do owe it to yourself to listen to God. Why? Because you and I don't always listen to him. And we need to hear honesty from him. We don't need the pretense. We don't need to be puffed up with pride. We need to hear the cold, hard, honest truth. And you and I, as sinners, we stand together as people who God has a message to share with. You have sinned. I have sinned. The wages of sin is death for you, for me. Death deserves hell for you, for me. Evil deserves punishment for you and for me. Pharaoh never wanted to hear anything like that. He never thought he had to let Israel go. He never thought he had to let the children of Israel go because he was the most powerful man on the planet. Why should I have to listen to Moses? Why should I have to listen to God? Yet how does his story end? He does let God's people go. But then he changes his mind. And he follows them. They march out to the Red Sea. And it looks like they are about to be destroyed. Yet the Red Sea opens up. He sees Moses and that mass of people following him march on to the other side. And Pharaoh follows them. Once Moses got where he wanted to be, the water came in. Pharaoh drowned. And really, that was the least of his problems now. During Pharaoh's life, it looked like it didn't affect him at all, that he didn't listen to God, and in the end, it came up. You owe it to yourself to see the danger you're in. Because you don't want to end up like Pharaoh. And God doesn't want you to end up like Pharaoh. You owe it to yourself. Give God a listen. And to hear about the solution to sin that he and only he can provide. Sin deserves death, sin deserves hell, evil deserves punishment. Jesus is good, he is perfect, he is sinless. And he was born to take that punishment. He was born to take that baggage you carry with you each and every single day. He was born to take that guilt that you just cannot forgive. He was born to take away that hurt that you feel so deep. He was born to give you something so much better than anything else in the world could ever offer you. And Jesus did it. He suffered for each and every single offense. So God doesn't see you for your mistakes. God sees you as forgiven. He went to his cross and he died because he wanted to give you hope, even in the face of death. And that is hope that we so sorely need. Because God knows that you and I don't know. And God will call us home. We don't. We don't know when he'll come back again in all of his glory. And God knows that people, when they don't listen to him, they do so to their own peril, because he speaks to make them ready. He speaks to forgive. He speaks to comfort. He speaks to make heaven our reality. The day is coming when he will speak, and everyone will listen. We see a picture of this in our gospel as Lazarus is brought from the dead. Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out. His hands and feet were wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." That is the gospel of our Lord, and that is gospel. It's beautiful. Jesus shows his power over death, the dead. Man, Lazarus is brought back to life. It's a foretaste, though, too, of what will come. Because on the last day, Jesus will speak, and the dead will rise. You owe it to yourself to give God a listen now. Because the sad reality is that on that last day, many people will wish they gave God a listen when they had the chance. But it will be too late. You owe it to yourself to give God a listen now, because Jesus is our only lifeboat on this sinking ship. And he is the only one who can help, save, and deliver. You owe it to yourself to give Jesus a listen, because he wants you to know that you are secure in his sight. He wants you to know that your problems are not bigger or more powerful than him. He wants you to know that he will be there for you day in and day out. He wants you to know that you will have real joy and real happiness, greater than anything you could even imagine here on this side. When Jesus calls those graves and says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Well done. Not because we are perfect, but because Jesus was perfect for us. Well done. Because we listened and heard and saw the depths of our sin, but more than that, the gems of God's mercy. The assurance that we live each day sins forgiven. You owe it to yourself to give God a listen. Because without his wisdom and without his guidance and without his voice speaking in the breathing and living Word of God in the Bible, what purpose is there? Yet with him, every day is a day of grace. Every day is an opportunity. Every day is a day of purpose. You owe it to yourself to give God a listen. Today, next week, next month, on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday. You owe it to yourself, because it's all free. And Jesus speaks to give you good news. Amen.